Hi, my name is Gil Robertson, president of the African American Film Critics Association. Today, for our look at shows that are up for award consideration for both After TV Honors as well as the Emmys, we have Jamal Henderson, who is the principal over at Spring Hill Entertainment, which of course is the company founded by NBA great LeBron James and Maverick Carter. They have an incredible new show that is currently airing on QUIBI that we're going to be talking about today called I Promise. Jamal, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Gil.
You know, the Spring Hill is already gaining certainly a lot of notoriety for the high quality work that you've been doing in a variety of different formats. But certainly, with this particular undertaking in providing a showcase for LeBron's I Promise School in Akron, you've just, you're combining quality production with even better, more quality story. Talk about how the project came together and why you selected QUIBI, as a partner.
Well, I appreciate those kind words, because it means a lot coming from you. I mean, I think we felt the same way. I mean, I think the work that the LeBron James Family Foundation does in Akron was frankly, the team went out to Akron and took a look at the school before it opened. I think we were all so inspired, and you come back to town and you're like, well, what are we doing? Nothing. These folks. And now we know as a parent, I definitely know in the pandemic, we know teachers are heroes when you're stuck at home and homeschooling. But these teachers are doing and dealing with so much. And really the genesis of it is LeBron's own story, right? So a lot of people know this, but, single mom, missed 80 days of school and when he was a young person. And it wasn't because he didn't want to be in school. It's because, they were house to house and all the things that the structural and systemic problems. And so what he has done with his foundation is just so amazing that we knew we had to tell that story. And so, candidly, it manifests itself in a lot of ways. Is it scripted? Is it unscripted? Is it a film? We thought about it a lot of different ways, but one of the things we knew we had to do was sort of roll cameras on this experiment, because that's what it is. It is, it's not a charter school, it's a public school. And that's very important because, we are proud of public schools, right? So this, not everyone gets into a charter school, right? And so those are right with its own, their own questions and same with public schools. And so really the team at the foundation has done such a great job partnering with Akron Public Schools. And so we knew we had to roll cameras on the experiment. And so the story and the genesis of the story really comes from LeBron. I mean, his work, is real. I mean, he's been doing it for 15 years in the city of Akron, going deep in a city. And so the school is the natural manifestation of all the work that they've been doing through after school programs and bike rides and food drives and all the things that you see athletes do. This is what would happen if it all sort of came together, right? And so, but the team was really honest about, hey, this might not work because we're taking the most at-risk students, right? And a lot of them are minorities. A lot of them are African-American. I can say this is the African-American film critics. Let's say what it is. And this might not work and it might not be pretty. And, if you've seen, the film, that there's a lot of moments where kids are acting out and it's real. It's just real. And so we knew it had to be unapologetic, unflinching with regard to that storytelling and what life is like in a school. So, so that's where the story came from. The QUIBI part was frankly, we were really, really lucky that Jeffrey Katzenberg and Jahan over at QUIBI, understood what we were trying to do. And, we had started to shoot this ourselves And we had some early footage, and there was a lot of fanfare obviously around when he announced the school, so people were familiar. But I think once people saw early footage of the work going in and the fact that it was going to be unflinching, they were the first ones to step up and really bet on the show, and we were really thankful for it.
Were there any concerns? I mean, QUIBI is known for its bite-sized content, obviously. So were there any concerns about how, having your story, the story told in that way?
No, I think as a company, we're very open to any, really sort of screen agnostic with storytelling. I think we can match the story to all the platforms. So like now it might be a different question for our filmmaker, Mark Levin, right, who's used to making long form documentary. I think this was production wise, we had a lot of talks, and in editorial, there was a lot of talks about how we make the chapters work. And it's not unlike what's happening on SVOD, which so it's about binging and getting people through the next episode. So as you frame the story up and get into post, it is very much it was very much a different process. But we were kind of game and excited because we've sort of run to all the new platforms, frankly, with the stories we've told. So that sort of excites us, doesn't scare us. But yeah, very, very much was a conversation we had around it. And we thought it can make the story more dynamic. I thought some of the tech that they were using was really exciting, and it continues to be really exciting and beautiful. So we were happy with how it turned out. And I think it allowed us, frankly, I mean, as you always have too much. So it allowed us to be even more diligent with the stories we told and how we told them.
Talk about the process of making the decisions on, I mean, it's such an enormous undertaking, the school, and sort of creating this vehicle to share the story about this institution. How did you go about, picking and choosing, which children you were going to follow, whose stories you were going to focus on, putting it all together in a way that, I mean, I'm sure it must have been an overwhelming, task to decide what storyline receives priority in terms of a lot of the kids and a lot of the people involved. So talk about that creative process.
Yeah, no, it's we've had the good fortune to make a couple of these sort of verite character-driven docs now, and really, the credit goes to the filmmaker and Mark, who has done a lot of these as well for HBO and other outlets. And it's really casting. I mean, it's a casting situation. It is. We had no. Let me tell you something. There are no shortage of characters at the I Promise School, from the teachers to the kids to the parents. So we didn't have a problem there. But yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of kids that we're really excited to continue, that we had a lot of footage of that didn't make the film or the season, but I think will deserve their own doc, honestly, because their stories, their home life, etc. So really, it was it was a very tough process that we just went through with QUIBI, with all the producers on the film, just talking about, look, how much can we service? How many stories can we really service in this? Just like a scripted show. I mean, you're really weighing that, and just seeing how that will all unfold, and then making sure that the story's arc. And we have really talented story producers and people in the field doing that. And we constantly were looking at dailies and making those calls and looking at the cuts and making those calls. So we started off with a lot more characters than ended up in the film. And I hope one day we have some of the other students, because they add their own color to it as well.
Right. Spring Hill is becoming known for telling stories about underrepresented communities. Why is that something that's important to you?
Well, I mean, we're just telling stories that we want to see. I mean, that's really the only thesis, is to tell and empower voices. So I think a lot of those voices are underrepresented. I mean, what we don't want to do is paint ourselves in a box where we wouldn't tell stories. I think we, a lot of our stories have diverse protagonists and have characters in that world, but we definitely don't hold ourselves just to that, but yeah, I mean, we definitely gravitated towards those stories early on.
Because those stories very often are our stories.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. So that's where we started, and I think there's a lot of work to do just in telling our stories. So we got plenty of our stories to tell before we tell other stories. You know what I mean? So we feel really good about that, and we also think our stories are good business. So we're not doing charity over here, we are trying to make things that are commercially viable, and the foundation does great work. And so it was really about shining a light on that, but also making sure it's entertaining, making sure that it's great, because that's the unflinching piece, right? You have to show the scene where the teachers are having their, moment and their sort of, low point, right? To feel the win at the end when the test scores come through. So that's just the normal piece of it. So yeah, no, but yeah, I think you're right. I mean, the stories that we gravitate to have been our stories, and we will continue to do that.
I think people are going to be surprised to see how much representation there really is. There's such a cross section of people: white, Black, Asian, Hispanic, children with disabilities. So it encompasses a lot. It really tells a story about a community. Talk about that community and how they've come together to support this.
Yeah, no, it's a great point. And it's, and the community of Akron, I mean, is very diverse, and people might not know that. They might think it's just Black and white, but a lot of immigrants, a lot of folks, a lot of working class white folks, a lot of different nationalities. And so the I Promise School reflects that. It's this idea of family. You see a lot of "we are family," and what that is their philosophy is around wrapping their arms around the total student. So they can control the 6 hours, 8 hours that you're in school, and we can make that as fun as possible. You can have the new laptop, everything. But when they go home, as you see, those kids are faced with real systemic problems, family issues, all the things that you would expect. And so that's really what it's about. And so the school does a tremendous job providing for the parents and the aunts and the uncles and the grandmas and everybody to sort of, because that's the only way that, the village has to wrap their arms around. So that is where the "we are family" comes from. And it's not unlike LeBron grew up, because he grew up going from house to house, just having his mom and needing the family or coaches and all the people in his world that loved him. So that's really where it all comes from. And so but it's inspiring. And the fact that it is not just, it's all different races and varieties. And I appreciate you for calling that out, because that is what the show is. It's really a look at America.
Absolutely. And really looking at the divide that exists between the have and the have-nots. We're in a crazy time, right now, where those differences are being magnified. What are your hopes? What do you want audiences to take away? What message? I know, in one of the episodes, LeBron mentioned, creating change. So, I mean, talk about that. What are your expectations? What are your goals? What are your dreams for this project? That the audience, how will it influence people's thinking?
Well, we just want to draw more eyeballs to the show. I mean, we're really proud of it. We think it's a special show, and it's a short form show. So we think it's exciting. And I know it's been made available now outside of even just QUIBI, because I think it's such a powerful show, and they've been really helpful in pushing that. So in as much as this interview helps do that, and your membership checks it out, I think that's important. But really, it's really about this being an example that hopefully, with the work you might be doing, or anyone's work that they're doing with education, is an example. That's really it, because I think we have to have models for the change, and it's not one size fits all. I think this is one thing that's working with a public and private partnership in Akron. So where we're bringing a bunch of corporate resources, we're bringing a bunch of folks, these folks, these kids are there longer than a normal school day. These teachers are signing up for more than the union might let them sign up for, and all that kind of thing. So that's what it's about. It's just about, I think, being the change you want to see, right? So you got to reflect, you got to do the thing so that the change can happen. And I think that's, and again, I take no credit for it. I mean, this is LeBron and his foundation. We were lucky enough to be able, with our company, to shine a light on that. And they're doing the work.
Should we expect to see a season 2, a season 3? I mean, you've got us hooked now. Now we want to really see the outcome of some of these stories. Dear Jesus, how some of these kids actually come into adulthood. It just needs to be like 12 years of their life,
I like it. Yeah, no, we definitely plan on continuing to show really this whole class. I mean, the big idea would be to show this all the way to graduation, to show this experiment, these students. And that would be, I think, in a boyhood-like way, kind of an exciting creative endeavor. So that would be fun, and wherever that ends up, it would be fun too. And however it manifests, but I think the story just has to be told. And so we're really committed to that.
And what other projects can we expect to see? I know there's a lot of stuff in the pipeline.
Yeah. I mean, we'll definitely go check out Self-Made, inspired by Madam C.J. Walker with Octavia on Netflix. I mean, we're really proud of that and how that turned out. And special performances, definitely awards consideration in that, with some amazing turns, and Casey Lemon's directing. So we're really proud of that. And then we did a special during the pandemic where LeBron gave a graduation commencement speech. It was called Graduate Together, which is a special that we're also really think is awards consideration as well, in sort of the variety show category. So those are the 3 things I'd call your attention to, like with the membership. And I know y'all saw Self-Made, so I'm double clicking on Self-Made, but I think Octavia just had an amazing turn on that, and the costumes and the work that was done on that. And, we're just so excited. And Blair did his thing on it too. So we just, those are the type of stories we want to tell, really. And we want to tell unexpected stories that they might not think, would come from Spring Hill. But so we're working on those. And as you know, those take a long time, but you'll read about some of those soon. We have a Black Wall Street documentary that we're doing as well right now, and deep in development on. So stories.
You guys are doing something with Ryan, right?
We're making Space Jam 2, obviously, in post right now, which is a big bet that we're producing with Ryan. And he's a friend of the company, and we're there's a lot of exciting projects that are coming up with Ryan.
How is it different operating now during COVID?
It's a lot of this, it's a lot of Zooms, and it's frankly, it's just as busy. We're doing a lot of development, a lot of pitching, a lot of reading, and then I think we're all just gearing up to get ready to go, shoot again. We're prepping a bunch of projects now, and then on the unscripted side, on the documentary side, there's a little bit more leniency, and we're able to get out and do some things. We're making a show now with small crews, very lean, but yeah, look, this is the new normal, Gil. I think it's figuring out ways to be creative and tell stories in this time. I know, we're going to figure out a way to do it. We can't help ourselves, right? We got to do it.
Got to. It must be especially gratifying being able to do your work in this space as a creative, but also create stories that really punch, impact, and that really have the ability to be, transformative. And that's certainly, what I Promise represents, at least to me, having, I've watched it twice. And that must add something special when you're able to create projects that leave that type of meaning with the audience member.
Yeah, no, it really does. I mean, now more than ever in this world, in this climate, right? It's important that our slate is our slate, And the good news is we didn't have to change our slate. Other people are changing the slate now, trying to respond to the world. And, you know, our work is our work. You know, these are the stories we wanted to tell, and now they're more urgent than ever. So I appreciate you saying that. I think that is the bar, right? LeBron is the best in the world at something. So who are we to have a film company and a TV company that is making substandard stuff? You know, we're trying to work with the best artists in the world and be a lighthouse for those creatives to come tell their stories. I mean, we're very new in town, right? So we know what we don't know, but we want to be a new outlet for creatives to tell their stories, and that's what we're trying to do. And we want to make things that frankly work, that are commercially viable, but also really, really, really important and quality stories. So that is the nexus that we're trying to fit. But you know, like, it means a lot for your membership and for you to recognize that. And like I said, it's still very early, but we're excited with the trajectory, and the opportunity that we have right now is tremendous.
Well, my friend, you're definitely walking the walk, and we certainly appreciate it. And because of course you could be telling many types of stories, and and the fact that you have chosen to remain committed to stories that are truly authentic expressions of who we are, I can't tell you how appreciative it makes us, particularly as African American Black film critics and entertainment content critics. So thank you.